again, Wildcat fans. Welcome back to another LC Coaches Show as we talk about a little women's soccer today. As you can see, joining me to my left is Sam Etherington, our women's soccer coach. I'm Brad Welburn, and we got plenty to talk about. Once again, 2 matches last week, 2 more coming up, so kind of in a groove of conference play here. So let's get into a little bit about last week. We won't spend a whole lot of time because it was kind of a rough week for you guys. Not gonna, no bones about it. 2 very good teams, Mary Hardin Baylor and Concordia, last Thursday and Saturday. I guess Mary Hardin Baylor was kind of what you thought they would be coming in, and then we talked about last week. You felt like Concordia was one of those games where you maybe could compete for a result type of thing, but was it just one of those off days? I mean, because that's what it kind of seemed, but at least in the first half, it was just like an off day for the team, and it happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, they just weren't good enough, and I've told them that. Kind of similar to what Claudia was saying before, it was probably one of the worst performances they've put out there. I think with game adjustments as well in terms of time, that plays a big part. I mean, with 2 worst games that I've seen this season have both been 11 a.m. games. Which have both been changes that we haven't really wanted to make, but we've had to. And when you played 11 a.m., I mean, there's not many places where you can get a full meal to get prepared for a game. You're just kind of having a breakfast. So it's little things like that, but still, it was no excuse. I made a big point of telling the girls, like, I get it. You're going to have players who had, like, 2 or 3 players that can have a bad day, but we had 11 players that had a bad day. And it's just not good enough, and it was just not good enough. I have no excuses, no reasons to why we played that bad.
Okay, so they scored 5 in the first half, which, what are you going to do? But the second half, I mean, I don't know if Concordia made any adjustments or whatever, but I think y'all made a formation change maybe for the second half, and they didn't score at all. So you had to be a little bit at least happy with that.
I do think Concordia puts a lot of their bench in. I mean, they've just scored 5 against us, so they've got a chance to put in some people who don't play. We did make a formation change, but I don't think it changed anything particularly defensively. It just gave us a bit more space to play and options going forward. But in the back, we still had a back 4. We still had essentially a lot of the same players. We did make some substitutions, but it wasn't too much different. And I made a point of telling the girls that yes, we changed the formation, and it might be something we have to look at. Going into the season, we hoped that we could play a formation we wanted and teams to change to us, but clearly that's not going to be the case all the time. So it's not an excuse, but it could help us out in the future if we can adapt to certain formations a bit better.
Okay, all right. So yeah, let's just put it behind us. Right, it was just a tough week. Yes, and we'll move forward to new opportunities, new games, new matches coming up this week as you guys take on McMurray and Hardin Simmons this coming Thursday and Saturday. And I guess talk a little bit about the McMurray game because I mean they're kind of right there with us as far as the standings are concerned. A match that at least you got to feel like a little bit that you have an opportunity to.
Well, I felt like that against Concordia, Brad.
I know.
They are going to be a very similar team to like a Belhaven, that type of team. They're going to be very gritty. I think we need to get out there and just be focused. The great thing is we're on the road, so we have complete control about what time we go to bed, what we eat, with preparation, all that type of stuff, which I think helps big time. We're just going to get out there, and you just got to be gritty. I've told the girls we're at the point now where it's not that we don't have good soccer players, it's the inside stuff that we're trying to pull out of them. Like, I can coach them all day on the field, but they've got to decide that they want to put it out there on the field and leave it out there. And our best games have been the ones where, they've played with a little bit of heart, whereas, the past couple of weeks, I know we're putting that behind her, but that hasn't really happened so much. And they've got to recognise the games where we need a result. Like, we've got to find a way to make it happen. And McMurray is one of them. It's one of those games where we got to have a performance, and essentially we need a win.
Yeah. And then Hardin Simmons. I mean, they are Hardin Simmons. They are one of the premier teams, not only in the conference but in the country. I think they're undefeated on the year, something like that. But it's just one of those things where you say, hey, go do your best you can and see where the chips fall.
Kind of, because I mean they're 5th in the country.
Yeah.
They're just a different class completely. For me, it's improving every year based on last year. You know, so the past couple of years, it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's been double figures against them. But you know, we're not the only team that's experienced that in the conference.
Right.
So if you can have a performance, you know, kind of like a UTD and have a similar scoreline to UTD against the 5th team in the country, then you've kind of built upon something.
Maybe something
so
you can,
it's mainly about having a performance where you can build confidence, because the next game after that is Centenary, which is also a huge one. You know, like rivals in the state, and that's also a game we're going to be focusing on to get a big result and get a win.
Yeah. All right. Well, big matches. Be sure to check the social webs and the interwebs for links and things for the games on Thursday and Saturday to follow and see how the ladies are doing on the road in Abilene. And of course, we'll be back next week because we'll talk about matches against Centenary and I think Sul Ross, right, next Saturday.
Yes.
I tend not to look too far ahead, but for some reason that was sticking in my mind. But anyway, check them out on the webs. They're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things, Twitter, and we'll be sure to check back with you next week. Sam, thanks again for joining us. I'm Brad Welburn. We'll see you in a bit.